Nowadays, working from home is increasingly becoming more of the norm rather than the exception. And while working from home has a lot of benefits, it does have its challenges and difficulties as well. Whether that's a lack of motivation, family members interrupting you during the workday, children needing help with their homeschool, working from home has a lot of distractions, and it's often hard to stay on track, focused, and productive. That's why in this episode of the Lifehack Show, we'll be giving you 3 useful tips that will help you work from home without getting distracted. But before we jump into the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that bell notification button so you can get notified every time we upload a new video. Alright, you ready? Let's get into it. Tip number 1 for how to work from home without getting distracted is to prioritize. Prioritize your tasks based on their order of importance. But the question is, how do you decide which task is important and what order do they all go in? Well, you can use what Lifehack's founder likes to call the superstructure method of prioritization. It goes like this. First, start by identifying the intention behind each task. Ask yourself the following questions. 1. What benefit am I getting out of this? 2. Will this help me reach my personal goals or my team's goals for the week? Second step is to organize your list of tasks into 3 categories: your must-haves, your should-haves, and your good-to-haves. Must-have tasks are tasks that are critical to achieving your goal. If you don't do these tasks, you won't be able to meet your goal. Should-haves are important but not critical to meeting the goal. And if you leave them out, they may have an impact on the end result. While lastly, good-to-haves are nice, but they won't have a negative impact on the final result. What is an example of these? Say you have a big client presentation next week. So you bucket your tasks into the 3 main categories. For your must-haves, you need to create your PowerPoint presentation and you need to practice said presentation. For your should-haves, this can include asking feedback from the team about important milestones that you need to include in the presentation. And for good-to-haves, well, these are practicing your intonation and delivery right before the presentation. Now that we have identified what the important tasks are and how important they are, then after bucketing them into these 3 categories, we assign a numerical value to each of these tasks. The higher the number, the more important it is. You can use Fibonacci numbers such as 2, 3, 5, 12, 15 because they have a wider gap in valuation between the numbers, or you can simply use numbers 1 through 10 if that's simpler for you. Step number 3 would be to evaluate the task's time cost. Basically, you want to figure out how long it takes you to finish a certain task and add a value beside that. For example, it takes you 2.5 hours to finish a presentation, then you would write that down as 2.5 hours. If that takes you half an hour, then you would just write that down as 0.5, and so on and so forth. Then, this is the fun part, you can calculate the final score of each task by dividing the value that you gave the task at the start by the time cost. And the answer to that will give you the score for each of the tasks, and you can organize accordingly. So the task that has the highest number is the one with the highest priority. And now that you have the tasks that you want to prioritize, you can move on to tip number 2 for how not to get distracted while working from home, and that is to schedule. Take your priority list and spend some time either in the morning or the night before and plot them down in your scheduler of choice, or you can get a copy of Lifehack's full life planner. We'll leave a link in our bio. Now, here are a few tips for scheduling so you can be at your most focused and productive. Number 1, schedule chronologically from the time that you wake up to the time that you intend on going to bed. Number 2, plan your day around your own natural cycles. Do the hardest tasks first in the morning when you have the most energy. Tip number 3 is to break large tasks down into smaller chunks. Say if you have to work on a big presentation that'll take you around 2 hours to finish, you can schedule 1 hour in the morning and 1 hour in the afternoon so you don't get overwhelmed by this large task. Number 4, don't forget to schedule in breaks in your day. There are a few studies that have found that people who take short breaks, whether that's to stretch or go for a walk, are more productive and are able to perform better during their tasks, while those who don't take breaks see a decline in performance and productivity. Take that snack or get some water, and you can use the Pomodoro technique, which is 25 minutes of work, 5 minutes break, and then 25 minutes of work again, and then a 5-minute break after that. Lastly, schedule in some rewards as well. You can schedule in these rewards either at the end of the day or in between the large chunks of your day. It'll help you stay motivated and give you something to look forward to. Tip number 3, set and enforce boundaries. First step in setting boundaries between your work and home life is to set a regular work schedule. It's really tempting to check email first thing in the morning or right before you go to bed, but if you have a regular work schedule, it'll let your family members and yourself know when you're working. It's also easy to start on tasks at any time of the day when you don't have your boss around you checking in on you. Setting regular work hours helps you and the people around you know when you're getting your work done. Also, if you have a set time that you need to finish by, you'll be more motivated to complete your work before this time. For example, you set your work hours to be 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. or 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., then you know that you need to get all your tasks done before 6 p.m. or 5 p.m., the same way that you need to clock out of the office. Also, don't forget to communicate this work schedule to your family so they know when you're available. Second, identify the time that you would like to spend resting or with your family and communicate this with your boss. So, say you decide that by 7 p.m. you are going to start enjoying the rest of your evening with your family, you're going to do some hobbies, then tell your boss that you won't be able to respond to emails that are sent after 7 p.m. This way, it sets expectations on both your boss's end, your family's end, and for yourself as well. Once you've communicated and enforced these boundaries, another thing you can do is to create physical boundaries for yourself. This includes setting up a home office or a space dedicated solely for work. Lastly, you can dress as if you were heading into the office. This will give you a slight mental shift in mindset to let you know that you are heading off to work even if you aren't really going to work. When you're done with work, simply change out of your work clothes and you'll be clocked out. Now, let's summarize our top 3 key points for how to work from home without getting distracted. Number 1, make sure to prioritize your tasks. We went over the superstructure method of evaluating the importance of each task, and that includes giving a numerical value to this task, and we get that numerical value by taking a look at how long it takes to complete the task and giving a numerical value to how important the task is. Once you've prioritized, we move on to tip number 2, which is to create a daily schedule for yourself. We talked about scheduling breaks and breaking big tasks down into smaller chunks. Lastly, our third tip was to set and enforce boundaries, whether that's setting a regular work schedule or creating physical boundaries in your home, such as setting up a home office for yourself. If you apply these tips well, you'll then be able to enjoy more time for other aspects of your life, which then leads to a fuller life. If you want to learn how to live a fuller life, we'll link our video about this in the description box down below and in the art card. If you need help with scheduling and staying focused and productive, you might want to grab yourself a copy of our Lifehack Full Life Planner. We'll leave a link in the description box down below as well, so you can purchase your own copy. Don't forget to like and share this video with a friend if you found it useful, and subscribe to our channel and hit the bell notification button so you can get notified every time we upload a new video. That's all for now, life hackers. We'll see you next week for another video. Bye! See you next time. Bye-bye.